everybody, and welcome back to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. This one is called Straight to the Point. My name is Avi, and I'm playing an idiot detective who is currently a man on a mission. And today I am joined by the wonderful, the lovely.
Well, it's Wick. And I'm gonna be playing uh Nakabe Nakai, the resident football. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that's our nickname for him.
Well, I give credit to JJ. They just started calling them football, so here we are.
Cause I want to put him. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the point. It's because he's puntable.
Little man. Anyway. Nakabe. What you
Uh-huh.
doing?
Oh. All right, wait, what is this man doing? Who is this man? Uh
Who are you? What are you doing here?
uh I thought of something terrible. All right, we'll go with it.
Oh boy.
All right. So right now, he is just walking on the sidewalk. Uh, he has a bag of groceries in his arms. He's just walking along, having a good old time.
Oh, a bag of groceries. I don't trust like that. Anyway.
What do you mean you don't trust like that? He just let the man have some groceries.
Looks at the last time he and Azumi met. Anyway. Anyway, that's wonderful because that makes this even better. Do you mind rolling me a quick perception?
Yeah, that's my favorite perception. You
Here we
can't bring it
go.
up. Yeah, it's it's a straight D20, you know.
Love that.
11.
All right. Uh. All right. That's too bad. Uh, um.
Dude, I don't see anything.
Yeah, you're probably too busy making sure that you have all your groceries or something. Um. Nakai, you are already walking. You're still walking down down the sidewalk, presumably in Toontown, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we're just in Toontown, just vibing.
Mm-hmm. All right, that makes sense, and it works perfectly for me. Um, you are walking down the street, and you are currently preoccupied with the groceries you have in hand, making sure that you got everything, because you gotta double check and make sure the clerk gave you, everything you need for the price that you think it was. Um, uh, in fact, you are so preoccupied with what you're doing that you don't notice that somebody has walked up to you and is now currently keeping pace with you until he says something. And a voice beside you says, Nakai-san.
Oh, oh, hello. Sorry. You.
And
How long have you been following?
only just for a few seconds, Nakabe, you
Oh,
are greeted by Azumi, who is currently giving you his best polite smile. And he continues to say, "Well, I saw you walking down the street, so I figured that I might as well catch up to you. And well, I'll be honest. I was hoping that I could discuss something with you privately."
discuss something privately.
Yes.
Okay. Um, he kind of just takes a look around. I'm not very close to the house, And he looks down at his groceries. Uh, I have an idea. I know just the place. And so he kind of makes a little motion like, follow me. This totally isn't sus.
Alright, there's probably a moment where Azumi lets you take the lead, uh, but you do hear his footsteps, following directly behind you. Uh, as you two are walking, he asks, is Detective Plant with you still?
Oh, no, they're back at my place.
I see. Yes, that's fine. That works out. Um,
Well, I can't carry them around all the time.
right. Where exactly are we going?
Oh, well, I just know this little place nearby. Oh, there it is. And just like a block ahead, there's this kind of cafe that he points out, and uh, and he kind of just he kind of hurries his pace a little, like, yeah, it's that one right there.
All right. I think Azumi nods, and he follows you into the cafe. Do you both get drinks or something, or do we
Ah,
just immediately sit down?
here's the thing. So the two of you walk into this cafe, and I don't need you to do a perception check. I'll use your passive.
Fucking 23, baby!
Yeah. Um, the first thing you notice that when you step in is uh there is absolutely no one here. Like there's no one seated in the booths, at the tables, at the bar. There's no one here.
Hmm. Yes, I think this should work out nicely.
Uh, so, want me to cook you anything? And he he kind of refers to his bag of grocery.
No, I will be just fine. I just ate. Um,
Oh, well, yeah, I guess it is around that time, huh? And he looks at his watch. Oh, I guess so. Then just a moment. And he actually goes around the counter. There's a fridge there. You just see him start putting stuff on the counter out of his groceries and just starts putting stuff in the fridge.
oh my god. Uh, he Azumi doesn't really seem to like say anything about this. It is odd, and he is making a mental note of this, but at the same time, he is just okay, fine. This okay.
This is fine.
He doesn't know who owns this establishment. At this point, Nakabe might as well own a cafe or work at it. Excuse me.
This is going to be just for the moment. Yeah, and you notice like the stuff that he's putting into the fridge. Like there's like a hunk of cheese. There's like some milk. You
Like,
thought you saw some eggs too. Like
it's like
you're
stuff
like,
you need to keep cold, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, I think in that case, Azumi's just going to nod, and he goes, alright, well, if, you have a moment, then perhaps.
Oh, well, I mean, now I have more than a moment. I just have to make sure these stay cold. And he closes the fridge. The other groceries he kind of leaves in the bag on the counter.
Alright.
Um, where do you want to sit?
I think he takes a seat at a booth that is pretty far away from the entrance, but has a good view of the rest of the cafe.
Okay. I think he, after putting the groceries away, Nakabe kind of follows suit and sits opposite of Azumi.
Let me get straight to the point. And he, yes, of course,
Sorry.
I'm doing it. Roll credits.
Yeah.
He brings his elbows onto the table and leans forward, resting his chin on his hands, and he fixes Nakabe with a look that is kind of scrutinizing, like he's trying to determine like he's trying to make sure that whatever you say next isn't a lie.
Okay.
And he says, truth be told, I don't know much about you, or quite frankly, the people you're looking for, and I'll be honest, I just want a few answers. Nakai-san, what are you exactly?
He kind of adjusts his sunglasses. What am I? I thought I told you that before. I'm a food critic, a bounty hunter, you know.
Yes, a bounty hunter indeed. You seem to be quite capable on your own, but at the same time, I don't happen to know what race you are. You appear to be human, but that doesn't always mean much, especially in a place such as Einquell.
He kind of he raises his eyebrows and then goes, "Oh, that's what you mean. You mean specifically what I am."
Yes.
Well, what are you? Here are the dice.
Yeah.
I can't even beat that with a nat 20.
I am so sorry for this. Zumi just raises a brow and he just goes, if it makes you feel any better, I am indeed just a human with a penchant of getting his nose into where it doesn't belong.
That's not the only penchant you have.
He just kind of chuckles. But still, you haven't answered my question.
Well, you haven't truthfully answered mine.
And he raises a brow at you.
You're just as much of a human as I am, and we both know that we're not.
Indeed. I'm going to roll a quick sleight of hand.
Okay. Should I perception?
You can. I'm sorry.
Oh, I can't even beat that anyway. All right, that's fine.
I shake this fan and I hate him. I will say you do see Azumi pull at the lapel of his coat and reach a hand into what you assume is an inside pocket, but the way he moves his hand, the way he moves his hand back out, you don't get a chance to see what is in his hand because now he is keeping both hands, presumably in his lap, as he gives you his full attention. And he goes, "You first."
Well, I suppose that's only fair. And, well, you did ask first. Though I don't quite understand why it's so important to you. After all, we're both the same, aren't we? I'm a Kalashtar, just like you.
Can I roll insight?
Go ahead.
Holy shit!
Uh-oh.
There's no reason for you to roll this high!
27? Bruh.
I hate this!
Uh, I will say that this man, you are staring him down, but you determine that this man is telling the truth. However, when he says, just like you do detect only a slight hint of uncertainty. He suspects that you're a Kalashtar, but is not entirely sure. Otherwise, his claim is entirely true.
I suppose that does make sense. You are quite familiar with those. Then, may I ask you another question before I reveal what I am?
I don't know. That doesn't sound entirely fair. And he's being a little playful right now. But by the way that he kind of gestures with an open hand, like, yeah, no, go ahead, ask your question.
Oh shoot, what was the question? Azumi!
Oh no!
Azumi just stole it!
Oops. There's like a beat of silence and then he just goes, do you want a drink?
No, he just, he takes a moment, and he says, "You don't sound quite sure on your statement. You think we are the same?"
Yes, I think we're the same.
Let me make myself very clear, Nakabe Nakai. Even if we are the same race, and that's not me confirming nor denying, that does not make us the same. I am far more different than what you might believe.
Far different? What, in the sense that you're a child and I'm an adult?
No. I am not that much younger than you are, I would assume, but looks aren't everything, I presume. In that case, well, maybe, but that's not what I'm talking about. And he gives you a smile that is not at all like his usual pleasant smile. It looks like he's smiling sardonically.
All right. So, was there a point to that query?
Uh, I'm trying to decide if he does something now.
Me, uh-oh.
Okay, I guess he does.
Uh-oh.
Nakabe,
Yeah?
from under the table,
Uh-huh.
you hear the familiar click of a gun's, you know how, like, some guns have, like, not a trigger, I forgot what it's called, but it's like,
It's got like the little hammer in the back,
yeah,
right?
the hammer in the back. You hear that familiar click from under the
Yeah.
table.
Oh, well, isn't that something? Do you think you're trying to intimidate me? I didn't take you for that sort of person.
I'm
At least,
trying to get information. I am willing to use whatever means necessary at this point because, truthfully, Nakai, you haven't done much to earn my trust.
well, neither have you. But I'm rather sad to hear that. I mean, I've been entirely truthful up to this point.
Have you?
Yes.
And yet you still haven't told me the names of those targets you've been after.
Well, I had forgotten.
Did you?
And it's, you can see his face is actually a little sheepish. Uh, yes, that was, yeah. I wrote them down this time. And you can tell that he is being entirely truthful. He was just an idiot. Uh, but I'm willing to bet that you're not really interested in that anymore, are you? You're mostly fixated on Trickster.
He's silent for a moment. By now, his expression is neither, like, it doesn't really give you much, but his expression is very, very cold, neutral, and, and he says something a little, a little, it might be concerning.
Okay.
And he goes, the way I see it, there are many ways one could get information, and I happen to be quite good at it. If you don't say anything that I like, I may be inclined to, well, perhaps I shall shoot your feet first.
Huh. Well, if we're really being cards on the table here, that is, you're really being a brat here. What? I don't give you what you want, and you throw a fit. Ah, it's just like earlier.
Alright, yeah, that works.
Uh-huh.
Alright, Azumi has pulled out the, his hand that was holding the gun, and he shoots it.
Oh.
There is now, a bullet hole, in the wall right next to, Nakabe's head. He was not aiming for Nakai, but he is, very much, showing you how serious he is.
Huh. You know, you really should be careful. I was about to lease this place. But I guess you don't really care about it.
No.
I guess we aren't much the same after all.
No. We're not. I'm glad you
That's
are starting
right.
to see that now.
Yes, you're selfish. You only have eyes for your prize. But I take down criminals for the greater good. You understand?
Is it the greater good, or are you just hunting for the sake of hunting? And what
Well,
about that child that got in your way?
a child. What? Oh, oh, that one. Ah, well, uh, that was kind of an error.
Was
Uh,
it?
it, it was. Well, look, assuming for the moment that we are both Kalashtar, we both have our own quarry, right? You don't always get along with your quarry, do you?
No.
Then I think you'll understand when I said that that incident wasn't really in my plan.
I think he shifts gears. He hasn't lowered his hand, by the way. Uh,
That's fine.
he shifts gears a little bit and he leans forward. You get the impression he's not addressing Nakabe, but he switches. He switches to Quarry and says, "If you ever target another child and I hear about it, it will be your last breath. I will hunt you down on the plane of dreams. Do you understand?"
And there is a noticeable pause. Um, and hold on. Let me roll something.
Woo!
Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh. I was gonna do this, but uh-oh. All right, great. This is uh uh-oh. Okay. So you you hear the response come from Nakabe, also in Quarry. He says, Aret nila thalas teas, which translates to, I look forward to it. But you have a feeling that you're not quite talking to Nakai anymore.
Oh. That laughter is in character as Azumi starts cackling, and it is a very unnerving, somewhat unhinged laugh as he switches back into common, and he, still chuckling, he goes, "I am going to enjoy hunting you down."
And you see kind of this smirk come across Nakai's face. Uh, and he goes, Yes, quite charming, are you?
The art of deception is one that I have mastered already. And I'm going to give you a sort of mental image. He is still holding the gun in your direction, but he has one elbow on the table, and he's resting his cheek on the back of his hand. And he's looking at you like he's just found a new toy to play with. It is a very unnerving expression from someone who previously you've just known to just be quite pleasant and, like, normal.
Yeah. How funny. You claim to be deceptive, but you couldn't even fool this idiot.
Yes, well, if you're talking about my little stunt earlier, then I assume that must have fallen through the cracks if you truly do exist. Shame.
Yes, well, I find you rather amusing. So don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone.
Good. Otherwise, I would have killed both of you.
Hmm, good to know. So, what information do you seek? Oh.
Sorry, that was somebody in the background.
No, it's okay. I'm like, me. That's also me.
Whew. Are you truly a dream master?
Well, wait. What did he say?
Are you truly a dream master? That's what he said.
And you can see Nakabe's smile just grow wider. They don't say anything though.
Shame. Big shame. And he straightens back up, still holding the gun. Um, and he continues and says, "Then why exactly are you hunting down these people, or why is Nakai? You say you were hired, but wasn't this quite a few years ago?"
Why do you think I call this man an idiot? He always has a one-track mind for everything. He feels rather prideful, and to have something slip from his grasp, he doesn't take kindly.
No. I can certainly understand that.
Now, I won't assume anything, but you're looking for someone of your own, a target.
Can you repeat that again?
You're looking for someone of your own, a target. Your own target.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Is he as amusing as you?
He's a fool of the highest degree, the kind who flirts with death and has no sense of self-preservation. So take that how you will.
And you see kind of a little smirk come onto his face. That does sound kind of fun. following them. What do you plan to do once you catch him?
That's none of your business.
Fair enough. But, what do you plan on doing with that? And he gestures to the gun.
This is
As much
insurance.
as insurance?
Let me make myself clear. I don't like you, nor do I like Nakai. And I don't trust either of you not to try anything with me, especially now that I've revealed my hand.
Well, as long as you don't get in our way, we're certainly not going to get in yours.
And I'm supposed to take that at face value.
Well, Nakai's the type of person who is at face value.
Well, yes, you did claim that he is an idiot, and I do see that.
He kind of chuckles a bit. Yes, he is. Well, I don't expect you to trust me, especially given your. And he kind of just gestures to the gun again. Behavior. But if it makes you feel any better, I can introduce myself to you. Would that help?
It might. I'm not sure if I'm willing to put any money on it.
I wouldn't expect you to. But he does extend a hand.
Is it
Whichever one doesn't have the gun, because he's gonna go for a handshake.
still keeping the gun trained on Nakabe? I kind of want to roll another insight just to make sure that there's nothing in this.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a modified 20.
Ooh. Um. Yeah, okay. Honestly, you have found Nakai rather suspicious, but as he now is going to shake your hand again, you just have a strange feeling that this is different. And for once, it doesn't seem like there's anything else behind it besides, hey, what's up? What's up, kid?
And he watches carefully, and he does shake the hand. But the gun is still trained on him.
Oh, yeah. So, you are Azumi. Should I call you Azumi-san?
Whatever works.
All right. I am Kanathban. I'm Nakai's quarry. Unfortunately. And he kind of gives us a wry smile.
Unfortunately. I pity you.
Yes, well, I appreciate it. I don't really need your pity, but it's rather sweet. Now, what else do you want to know?
Why eat people?
Why eat people? That is a better question for Nakai, but I'm already here, so I can answer it quite simply. He is under this, well, you might disagree, but he's under the delusion that if he consumes the evil of this world, it won't return to it. He's doing a service.
Just one man determining what is and isn't evil isn't going to save the world. For all he knows, he could have just eaten an innocent life.
Well, he does have someone to back him up, and it's not me. I disagree with it. But what can I do?
And who is this someone?
The loving dove.
Can you say that again? Just to make sure that I heard it right.
Just normally.
Yeah, just to make sure that I heard it right. Was it the lovely dove?
The loving dove.
The loving dove.
ING.
Okay.
Yes. Here we go.
Oh boy.
And if you'd like, you could make a history check.
I'm not hoping for much, but here we go. Yeah, that's about what I expected. That's not what I typed. God damn it. I can type.
I was like, I don't know if you can roll a 0.
There we go.
Well, all right, that's pretty decent enough. You have a feeling that you've heard that title before. And the only thing you can recall, though, is that it was a real kind deity. But you haven't heard much about it. But he kind of just sits back. It's very stupid.
Right, yes, he is following the whims of a god?
Well, kind of.
Kind of. Oh, he's nothing more than a puppet in that case.
Well, it was more like a puppet even before that. But yes, he got it into his head that he's a hero of some sort. A martyr, if you will. He'll get his hands dirty for the sake of the cause. This deity preaches eternal love and purity. But really, it's a sack of shit.
Isn't that all it ever is?
Yes. He pauses and then chuckles again. I hear him yelling. But it's fine. I'll say my piece and then he'll come back. But, yes, this deity. I don't really know what they're playing at. They seem to serve themselves and have others serve them.
It's all deities at this point. They're all the same. They only care for themselves, using others to get what they want.
Oh, it is rather funny. We're both doing the same thing, aren't we?
Takes one to know one.
Precisely. And that's what he thinks he's doing. He'll cut down the evil of the world, and he will be good. But he's too deluded to realize that it's all garbage.
If there is one thing that I have learned in my lifetimes, it's that, well, good, evil, They're both horseshit. There is
Yep.
never a clear, definite line between the two. And the gray
Yes.
area that exists in between, well, sometimes that's not worth walking either.
You know, you're not as bad as I thought you were.
How do you think I've kept this facade up for so long?
But sometimes I wonder why you keep it up. What's the point?
I'm trying to decide something. What does he say? Okay.
Okay.
He sighs and he goes, well, you know how it is. It's easier to gain the trust of someone if you're, well, if you know how to keep a respectable distance, and if you know how to be polite. Most people just flock to you as if you know everything, as if you can help them with everything they need. And in turn, if you know what you're doing, you can use that to your advantage.
I get it. It's easier to be loved than to be feared.
Whew!
Ugh.
I just rolled deception and you're not going to fucking believe me.
Uh-huh. Uh. Bruh.
For the audience.
Yeah, no, I don't think I can beat that in my wildest dreams.
Yeah, just for the audience, Azumi rolled a nat 20. His deception modifier is a 10, so that's a modified 30.
He's got a 30, my guys. Oh shit.
Yeah. His expression is as cool, as calm, as collected as it has been this entire conversation. And still holding the gun, he kind of chuckles. He says, "Isn't that all anybody ever wants?" But, well, not everybody is the same. Especially me.
Well, I don't know if you really need my advice, but don't let it get to your head. You may have power, but everyone is fallible at some point.
You don't need to remind me that I'm fragile. I already have the scars to prove it.
Yeah, so does he.
I did say lifetimes, though. Plural.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
He said, I did say lifetimes, though. Plural.
Plural. Me.
Because earlier, Azumi said something along the lines of, if there is something I have learned in my lifetimes...
Plural, yeah. So, You just kind of see a shrug followed by, well, is there any other reason you, keep pointing that? And, again, gestures to the gun.
He glances down at it, and glances back up to you, and there's this smirk on his face, and he just goes, I like the way it feels in my hand.
I get that. How do you think Nakai feels? But you could point it elsewhere. I might not like this. And he's kind of pointing to Nakai. But I am stuck with it, so.
You see him pause for a moment. And he goes, there are more than one way to kill a person. And he tucks the, he takes the gun, kind of pulls at the side of his jacket so he can put it back in the inside pocket. By now, the little hammer thing has been, like, put back so that it won't fire in his coat.
Yeah. Imagine.
Yeah. And he continues to say, just because I am concealing a weapon does not mean that I'm not capable. Can this person... I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to ask this. I forgot the quarry's name. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's Kanafbin.
Kanafbin. Can Kanafbin roll insight?
Yes, they can. That's an 8.
F, I guess.
F to my boy Kanafbin. Listen, he's just here.
So, the way I see it, you are after... Well, Nakai is after... a family of people who seem to have been wrapped up in some sort of family conspiracy. Was there any reason behind that?
Behind the conspiracy?
Why does the father want the... Wait, I forgot. Does Azumi know that it was the father?
I think?
We'll roll with it.
Yeah, just roll with it. It's fine.
Why would this father want his own flesh and blood? And you see him pause. Like he has just thought better of his own words. He says, no, perhaps I shouldn't be surprised.
Admittedly, I don't know much. I know about as much as this guy. Again, pointing to Nakai. But I have the feeling it's something stupid. After all, they're wanted dead or alive. But of course, given the option, Nakai would kill. So, who knows?
I know you're not Nakai, but do you mind if I ask a rather intrusive question?
You know, your line of questioning has already been intrusive. I don't mind. Go ahead.
Sorry, that was me. I didn't know
it's like,
because like,
am I wrong?
no, he's right, and that's like why it's funny to me. Um, uh, and he goes, "Why the sunglasses?"
The sun. Oh, the sunglasses. Oh, well, you see. Oh, he doesn't like that question. But I can tell you. He's not just a Kalashtar.
No.
I mean, he's mostly Kalashtar, but he's also part Drow elf. So his eyes are sensitive. That's why he has to wear these.
I see.
Also, his eyes are just kind of weird. I mean, it's the truth.
That is true. That is true. But like, I think you see Azumi smirk a little bit at that, and he and he goes, so it's just this health precaution. I see.
Yeah. You know, Azumi-san,
Hmm?
you're kind of fun.
Am I?
Yes, you're quite interesting.
Hmm.
Maybe I should ask a question.
That seems fair.
You you are a Kalashtar, right?
He pauses like he's watching you very, very carefully, and he says, "Quite."
He asks why?
No, he says, "Quite."
Quite. Hmm. I can only imagine what your quarry is like.
He smiles, and you don't have to roll insight on this because the kind of vibe you get has the same kind of vibe of like oh, you have no goddamn idea.
Oh my goodness.
You did say I was different from Nakai, even if I was a Kalash Star.
Huh. Well, I would certainly like to meet them sometime.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be now.
Of course not. They would hate it.
Really?
Let me
Well, I
put
guess
it.
they're not as fun as you are.
Let me put it this way. Their names are
Names?
Loctor and Courtenay.
Ah, I get it now. There are two of them. You really are something. Also, that sounds rather hellish. How the hell did you get two?
You think I know? Some god out there, if they are looking at me, they decided that I was nothing more than a joke.
Well, if it helps. You're funny, but I don't think you're a joke. Now, unless there's anything else, I think I can give Nakai the reins again.
Ah, yes, I nearly forgot him.
What? You enjoy me more than him?
Alright. If you must. And he kind of waves a hand dismissively.
Don't be like that. He's a good cook.
I don't doubt it, but I can't say I agree with the kind of meat he eats.
Oh, well, he doesn't do that all the time. He eats like a normal person. About 3/4. I won't get into it though. Just kind of weird. And Asuma just pointing at his dude. What? And
does God damn it, I forgot the name again.
it's okay, Kanathman.
Does Kanafin give him the give Nakai the reins back?
uh, he's sitting there. And again, you don't need insight for this. He's contemplating because right now he is in the driver's seat, and he's like, this is kind of nice, and this kid is fun, and he's like, why should I? Hmm. But if I stay too long, he's really gonna make a fuss. Uh, hmm.
And as fun as this conversation has been, well, I suppose it wouldn't do well on Nakai to leave him trapped in his own head for too long.
Oh, well, I mean, he's already lost so many marbles. What's a couple more? uh, but all right. It really was nice talking with you, though. Despite what we've said about morality, good and bad, you seem like a pretty good kid. Don't be too hard on yourself. And he sits back, and you do notice like a slight change.
Oh, hang on, I have to roll something.
Uh-huh.
That was the charisma check.
Oh.
You say, you're a good kid / don't be too hard on yourself, and he's just, what?
Huh?
He is visibly taken aback and visibly confused. Like, bro, I've been holding a gun to you. I've been holding
I
you
don't
at
know.
gunpoint for a majority of this conversation. Hello?
I don't know. He just. I don't know, man. But hold on, let me. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. Um, so, he kind of sits back, and you can tell that now Nakai is back. Um, but you see, he's quiet for a moment. He kind of gently places his hands on the table and then slams one of his fists down. It looks like he is gritting his teeth, and he is not very happy. I heard you roll something.
Yeah, Azumi doesn't look all that surprised.
he he kind of breathes in. You could hear it, but then he just slowly exhales.
I thought I was the one with the temper tantrums.
Temp- Temper, and he kind of smooths his hair a little bit. It's just not exactly comfortable. Not comfortable. That's all.
No.
Well, if we're done here, I do have some groceries to get back to my house.
I'm trying to think what he said on what he says. There he goes. Nakai, if I happen to hear word that another child has been possessed by your quarry, I won't take kindly to that. And I suspect you already know this, but I wouldn't go around, telling anybody about our little conversation here. Besides, and he gives you a charming smile, and he says, well, who would believe you?
And for once, you see Nakai kind of frown. I know. I won't say anything. This stays right here. And he kind of just, he kind of taps on the table for emphasis.
Indeed. You really are an idiot. And he stands up.
Well, takes one to know one. He also gets up.
He wants to add something, but he doesn't want to tell me what it is, so it's like...
It be like that sometimes.
I almost feel bad for your quarry. In that case... Well, in any case... I better not be the one putting you in cuffs the next time I see you. So long. And he is walking off.
And I have to say that when you do so, I'm again just going to take your passive perception. You can just feel Nakai boring into you with his eyes. He is not a happy camper.
In that case, I guess we can leave with this scene for the audience. The camera is looking at Nakai, and it focuses out, and Azumi has the smuggest look on his face. He came in here and got what he wanted. Yeah!
Yeah! That works!
I guess!
I guess.
And thank you, everybody, for listening in, both now, in the present, and in the future. Holy shit!
Holy shit! Thank you for letting me play with you.
Oh, yes, and I'm so sorry that I essentially pulled you something for, like, completely, like, off-the-wall bonkers, but anyway.
No, it's some fun stuff.
Anyways, thank you all again, thank you, Wick, for playing with me, and, with that, we bid you a good time zone. Bye!
Yeah. Bye.